Hey, Heathens, continuing the Genesis story, chapter 13, with Abram and his nephew Lot. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. So heading south of Egypt. And Abram was very rich, left over pimping money, in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai. Okay, so unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning. Does this mean that he went south of Egypt to go back north where his tent was before? Or does this mean that no one else had lived there, that his tent was there at the beginning of this town? I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. Anybody has a clue, let me know. That line doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because there are people there, so it's not that. And he went south of Egypt, so it's not that he went back north again. So that doesn't make any sense either. But anyway, verse 4. Unto the place of the altar which he had made there at first, and there Abram called unto the name of the Lord. And Lot also, which went with Adam, he had flocks and herds and tents. So Lot was big pimping too. And the land was not able to bear them, and that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. Alright, so this is the first turf war. They had so much crap they couldn't live in the same city where his tent was the first to be there, which is the way that I understand that. My understanding of this verse is that he was the first person to be there. But we're about to find out that there are other people. But him and Lot just couldn't, in this land with nobody else there except for him and his nephew and his wife and all their servants, they just couldn't seem to get along in this little, it must have been a small town. I don't know. Anyway, they couldn't dwell together, and there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Pezerite dwelled then in the land. Okay, so maybe someone else does live there. Or maybe they moved in. We don't know. It doesn't really say. But now there's people that live there, and the town just ain't big enough for the two of them. So, Lot, you and your herdsman got to go, so that me and my herdsman can be fine. Tell you what, here's the deal that they're going to work out. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, between my herdsman and thy herdsman, for we are brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, and pray thee for me, that I will take the left land. And if thou wilt take the left land, and I will go into the right. And if thou depart to the right hand, then I will go into the left. So pick your side, I'll go the other way. We're going to split up. And Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all of the plain of Jordan, and it was well watered everywhere before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So this is before he destroyed the towns, and Lot's going to go into this area. Or were Sodom and Gomorrah, were they towns yet? And if they were, where did these people come from? You assume it must have been from that whole Tower of Babel thing. But it said that he was the first to put his tent there, so I don't know how that makes sense either. Anyway, must have been the Canaanite and Perizzites. Anyway, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zor. Wasn't that the eagle from He-Man? Anyway, then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan. All right, so Lot's going to get Jordan, and Lot journeyed to the east, and they separate themselves one from the other. So he goes to Jordan, not Sodom, not Gomorrah. He goes to Jordan. Doesn't really specify where in Jordan, just Jordan. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent towards Sodom. Okay, now Abram lives with the Canaanites, and Lot lived towards Sodom. They lived in Sodom, but maybe it was just towards Sodom, the outskirts of town, suburbs, first suburbs. Okay. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. So the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners. This is a prelude here, a little foreshadowing of what's to come for old Sodom. Now he pitched his tent towards Sodom, and maybe that was the whole problem. Maybe if he wasn't pitching his tent, Sodom wouldn't have been full of so much homosexuality, which is what this is talking about. Now, the term sodomite, to sodomize someone, this is where this comes from, the idea of Sodom. Everything about it is, now it doesn't really say what the sodomites did, but we are to understand that basically it was homosexuality. However, in Ezekiel 16:49, it says that their sins were pride, gluttony, sloth, greed, and the failure to help the poor. Another contradiction. Maybe it was both. Verse 14, and the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art, northward and southward and eastward and westward, for all the land which thou seest, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed forever. Right there, wars started and have waged for millennia. For all the land which thou seest, to thee I will give it, and to thy seed forever. Genesis 13, verse 15. What this is basically saying is that God gave to Abram all of this land. Then why were there people already there? Why are they still there? And what happened to the promise that this will be his forever? Because it's pretty much been taken over. God's a liar. Acts 7, verse 5 says that Abram, not so much as to set his foot on the promised land, however, now he apparently is. And Hebrews 11, verse 13, not having received the promises. So God's promise to Abram to find this land was not fulfilled in those two particular instances. However, right here, he's there. He tells him to look around him. That's the land. So either this is a contradiction in the Bible or God lied. We have two contradictions. How do you have so many contradictions in just one single book? Like I said before, can't we get through one single book of the Bible without hitting a problem? The rest of it really is not all that important. We'll finish it off just to say we did. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Rise and walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, and for I will give it unto thee. Then Abram removed his tent, I guess it wasn't pitched anymore, and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. This guy loves to build an altar in the middle of nowhere where no one else is. Have you noticed that? I likes putting up those altars that other people will find and go, what the hell is this, and knock it over. By the way, we've never found any of these altars. Just an archaeological fact.